Hello students, welcome to Edu Blossom. We are going to start chapter number 15, our environment today. And our today's topic is food chains and food webs. Before starting with the chapter, our environment, we will discuss some terms. These terms will help us in better understanding of the topic. So let's start with the discussion of the terms. Our first term is autotrophs. These are the organisms which can prepare their own food, and such organisms are known as producers in the food chain. Such organisms use solar energy or chemical energy to make their food, and for making the food by using this energy, they obtain inorganic raw materials from outside, and usually such organisms release oxygen as in the process of photosynthesis. Plants and blue-green algae are included in the category of autotrophs. Our next term is heterotrophs. Heterotrophs cannot prepare their own food, so these are known as consumers in the food chain. Such organisms use energy from organic nutrients and obtain both organic and inorganic nutrients from outside. And such organisms release carbon dioxide in the process of respiration. All animals, fungi, many protists, and bacteria are included in the category of heterotrophs. Now we discuss about producers. Producers constitute first trophic level of the food chains, and they produce food. They perform photosynthesis. All plants, whether these are ornamental plants or these are trees or shrubs or herbs or grasses or the aquatic plants. Even in the aquatic, these may be submerged plants or maybe partly submerged or maybe the floating plants. So all the plants which produce food are known as producers. And producers constitute first trophic level in the food chain. We are going to discuss about trophic levels also shortly in this video. What are consumers? All consumers get their food and energy from the producers, either directly or indirectly. These are of various types. Herbivores are the organisms which feed on plants and plant products. Carnivores are the flesh-eating animals, so they feed on other animals. Omnivores may feed on plants as well as on other animals. All these consumers may possess different trophic levels in different food chains. So, herbivores, they possess second trophic level in the food chain, whereas carnivores animals, they may possess third trophic level or the higher ones in the food chain. Omnivores organisms may occupy second trophic level and higher trophic levels in the food chains. But one thing is for sure that all these consumers are heterotrophs. So, what is the difference between producers or consumers? Producers make their own food, consumers cannot make their own food. Producers trap solar energy and convert it into chemical energy while making food. Consumers cannot trap solar energy, and chemical energy is obtained from outside. During the process of photosynthesis or the formation of a food, photosynthetic pigments or chlorophyll is required to trap the solar energy, but consumers lack photosynthetic pigments. Producers obtain inorganic nutrients from outside for photosynthesis, whereas in case of consumers, such organisms take organic nutrients from outside. Producers possess first trophic level in the food chain, whereas consumers may possess second and higher trophic levels in the food chains. Now let's discuss about food chain. The series of organisms feeding on one another at various biotic levels of an ecosystem form a food chain. So who eats whom is simply a food chain. So many organisms may possess various biotic levels in an ecosystem, and one organism may feed on several other organisms also or plants also. So food chain is actually a series or a chain of organisms which tells us who eats who. And what are trophic levels? These are the levels in the food chain through which transfer of a food and energy occurs. So the levels or steps of the food chain are known as trophic levels through which transfer of food and energy occurs. Let's take an example for better understanding. For example, we have producers here. Producers always occupy first trophic level in a food chain, and producers produce food. Plants trap solar energy in the process of photosynthesis to make food, but the entire incident sunlight is not used. Only 1% of sunlight is captured and converted into food energy. And then this energy is made available to the next trophic level in the form of food. Plants are eaten by the herbivorous animals. These herbivores are known as primary consumers also, and such organisms occupy second trophic level in a food chain. What comes next in the food chain? A carnivore. This carnivore is possessing third trophic level in this food chain and is also known as secondary consumer in this three-step food chain. First trophic level is possessed by producers, second trophic level is possessed by primary consumers, and third trophic level is possessed by the secondary consumers. Let's discuss now how energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next. Producers make food and they trap solar energy, but only 1% of the total incident solar energy is captured and converted into food. So the amount of energy which is trapped here by the producers, that entire energy will not be transferred to the next trophic level. Rather, 90% will be lost or used by the producers in their metabolism, and 10% will be transferred to the next trophic level. And then from the second trophic level to the third trophic level, again 10% of the energy will be transferred, 90% will be used or lost in metabolism. Let's discuss about 10% law. It was given by Lindemann in 1942. According to this law, only 10% energy is transferred from one trophic level to the higher trophic level. 90% energy is lost as heat or in various life processes. So that is the reason why from one trophic level to the next only 10% energy is passed, 90% energy is lost or is used in various metabolic processes. We can take this example. Like we have a three-step food chain here. First trophic level is possessed by grass, second trophic level is possessed by deer, and third trophic level is possessed by tiger. Sunlight is incident on the grasses and only 1% of the sunlight is captured by the grass and is converted into the food energy. From that energy, only 10% will be made available to the next trophic level, that is to the deer. 90% will be used, and then again 10% will be given to the tiger. And as far as energy pyramid is concerned, we will get such energy pyramids. Producers will occupy first trophic level in the energy pyramid, then followed by primary consumers, and then followed by secondary consumers. Let's take example of this food chain. Sunlight is here and the first trophic level is possessed by plants, second trophic level by deer, third trophic level by a lion. So how the energy is transferred in this three-step food chain? For example, 1000 joules of sunlight is incident on the plants. From that 1000 joules, 99% of energy, that is 990 joules of energy will be lost. Only 1% of the energy will be captured by the plants. So from 1000 joules, only 10 joules will be captured by the plants as biomass, which will be available as food for the next trophic level. So 10 joules will reach to the deer. From this 10 joules, 90% of the energy, that is 9 joules, will be lost by the deer in various metabolic activities, and only 1 joule will be made available to the next trophic level or to lion. Now let's discuss how energy flow occurs in an ecosystem. Sunlight is the main source of energy, and this energy from producers goes to the herbivores, and then from herbivores to carnivores to top carnivores. So, energy flow in an ecosystem is always unidirectional, from producers to herbivores to carnivores and to top carnivores. Energy will never return, it will never come back, it will only flow in this direction from producer to herbivores to carnivores to top carnivores, or from one trophic level to next and then to the next. We get such kind of energy pyramids where the first trophic level is possessed by the plants or producers having maximum energy, and second trophic level has lesser energy, third and trophic level has even lesser energy, and very less energy reaches the fourth trophic level. So from first trophic level to second to third to fourth, energy keeps on decreasing till it reaches fourth trophic level. It reduces too much. That is the reason why in natural food chains we get only 4 to 5 trophic levels, not more than that. Because after 4 or 5 trophic levels, energy becomes so meager that it doesn't support further trophic levels. So only 4 to 5 trophic levels are found in natural food chains, not more than that. We get such questions also in the examinations, like energy pyramid is there and you have been given primary consumers. You need to answer what will come at the place of X and what will come at the place of Z. So what will be the answer to X? Producers, because producers always occupy first trophic level. Producers are followed by primary consumers and primary consumers are followed by secondary consumers. So answer to Z will be secondary consumers. It is an example of a food chain which is found in the grasslands. This food chain has 4 trophic levels. First trophic level is possessed by the grasses. Grasses are eaten by the grasshoppers and grasshoppers are eaten by the frogs and frogs are then eaten by the snakes. From such food chains we can get questions based on the energy figures also. For example, we have a question here. In the following food chain, grasshopper provides 400 joules energy to frogs. How much energy will be available to grasshopper and snakes? Grasshopper provides 400 joules energy to frogs. So, 400 joules of energy is available to frogs. So, frogs have 400 joules of energy. So, only 10% of that energy will be made available to the snakes. So, what will be 10% of 400 joules? Only 40 joules will be made available to the snakes. And how much energy will be available to the grasshoppers? 4000 joules. Because 10% of 4000 joules, only 400 joules then will be made available to the frogs. So this energy calculation is done as per 10% law. We take one more example. Producers occupying first trophic level in a food chain, and then producers are followed by insects which occupy second trophic level in the food chain, and these are also known as primary consumers. And then what comes next? Third trophic level is possessed by a bird. It is also known as secondary consumer. So these birds will feed on a variety of insects. Who can come next in the food chain? A snake can come. So it occupies fourth trophic level and it is also known as tertiary consumer. Then it is followed by a peacock. Peacock occupies fifth trophic level and it is known as quaternary consumer here in this food chain. Here grasses are eaten by the insects, insects are eaten by the birds, birds are eaten by the snakes, and snakes are eaten by the peacock. So what happens here? Of the all incident light which falls on the plants or producers, only 1% of energy is captured by the plants. From that, only 10% is then transferred to the next trophic level, and from that only 10% is transferred to the next trophic level, and then from that 10% will be transferred to the next trophic level, and so on. So what happens here? 90% energy is lost at each trophic level in the form of body heat or in various life processes. Only 10% of energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next. Let's take an example of aquatic food chain. Now here in this food chain, phytoplanktons occupy first trophic level and second trophic level is possessed by zooplanktons, which are eaten by a small fish, and then this small fish may be eaten by a shark or a large fish. So this is a 4-step food chain. You may be asked in the examination to write an example of the aquatic food chain. You may think of some other aquatic food chains also. Let's take example of various food chains occurring in nature. So producers or plants always occupy first trophic level and insects may feed on these plants. So insects occupy second trophic level, but not only insects, even the rabbits can feed on the plants because rabbits are also herbivores. Then a rat can also feed on the plants. And then what comes next? A zebra can feed on the plants. Zebra is also a herbivorous animal. It also occupies second trophic level in food chain. And then a buffalo may feed on the producers or the plants. And a goat can also feed on the plants or the producers. So in nature, various organisms can feed on the plants and a variety of organisms can possess a second trophic level. Now, a frog can enter the food chain as the frog can feed on various types of insects. And then, birds may also feed on insects. And then, a cat may come in the food chain. So, this bird may be eaten by a cat, or this rabbit may be eaten by the cat, or a rat can be eaten by the cat. Similarly, a dog may come in the food chain. So, this cat may be eaten by the dog. Or this cat may be eaten by the wolf as well or a fox as well. Similarly, some other organisms like goat or the rat or the zebras may be eaten by the foxes or the wolves. Now, a snake has also come. So, this snake may eat birds or it may feed on frogs or it may feed on rabbits or rats or a variety of organisms may be eaten by the snakes. What comes next? A peacock has come. So this peacock may feed on the snake. This snake may be eaten by some other animal as well, like mongoose. Mongoose are also fond of eating snakes. What comes next? A hawk. So a hawk can feed on a frog or some small birds, or it can feed on a rabbit or a rat. So it feeds on a variety of other animals. What next now? King of the jungle has come. So this is a top carnivore which can feed on a large variety of animals. So it can feed on the herbivores, it can feed on cow, buffalo, zebra, cat, dog. So it can feed on a variety of organisms. This is the way various food chains exist in nature, and this network of interlinked and correlated food chains is known as food web. In nature, we don't get a single straight food chain. Rather, we always get a network of food chains, and these food chains are interlinked with each other at various trophic levels, forming a food web. So, what is food web? Each organism is generally eaten by two or more other kinds of organisms, which in turn are eaten by several other organisms. So, instead of a straight line food chain, the relationship can be known as a series of branching lines called a food web. So, food web is always a network of various food chains. Let's take one more example of a food web. This is a food web. Producers are occupying first trophic level. These producers may be of various types. A variety of organisms may feed on the plants, like insects or birds or rats or rabbits or deer or sheep or lemurs. All these organisms can feed on producers. But if these are aquatic plants, then these may be eaten by the prawns or crabs also. These herbivores may be eaten by some other animals also. For example, these insects. These insects may be eaten by the birds or may be eaten by the frogs also. Similarly, these lemurs are actually fond of eating plants and plant products, but at times they may feed on small vertebrate animals like rats also. Similarly, these lemurs may be eaten by the foxes or wolves or by the lions. Similarly, rabbits, deer, and sheep may be eaten by the foxes or the wolves or the tigers. Or these snakes may be eaten by the hawk or the mongoose or the peacocks. And similarly, the prawns or crabs may be eaten by the fish. Fish may be eaten by a pelican, or it may be eaten by a shark or any other large fish. So this is how in nature so many food chains exist together. These food chains are interlinked with each other and constitute a food web. One thing more, an animal can possess a specific trophic level in a food chain but not in a food web. We discuss it with the example. We take two food chains. The first food chain in which the producers are eaten by the birds are eaten by snakes, and snakes are eaten by the hawk. Plants occupy first trophic level here, birds occupy second trophic level, and the snakes occupy third trophic level here. Now we discuss about the second food chain where producers are eaten by insects, then insects are eaten by the frogs, and frogs are eaten by the snakes. The snakes may then be eaten by the hawks. So what is the trophic level possessed by the snakes here in these two food chains? In this food chain, the snakes occupy third trophic level. From producers to birds to snakes, snakes occupy third trophic level. But what about in this second food chain? From producers to insects, insects to frogs, and then from frogs to snakes. These snakes occupy fourth trophic level here in this food chain. Here third trophic level, and in this food chain snakes occupy fourth trophic level. So we can say that in a particular food chain, an animal can possess a fixed trophic level, but not in the food web. Different animals may have different trophic levels in the food webs. Food webs ensure variety of food choices to various animals. And now we proceed further. What are the characteristics of food webs? Several interconnected food chains constitute food web, and it is always a network of food chains, not a single straight chain. And food webs ensure alternate pathways of food availability to various organisms. Similarly, food chains correlate at various trophic levels and provide stability to the ecosystem. Food webs support ecosystem development and keep a check on overpopulation. So it helps in striking a balance between the growth of various populations in an ecosystem. What is the difference between food chains and food webs? Food chain gives a single chain of organisms showing who eats whom, whereas food web gives us a network of food chains correlated with each other. In a food chain, organism can have a fixed trophic level in a particular food chain, but in case of a food web, an organism can be at different trophic levels in different interlinked food chains. So these are the points of difference between food chain and food web. And with this, second part of the chapter R, environment, is completed. So that's all for today. Thank you so much and see you all in the next video.